As you listen to this, or hear this with the voice in your head that always knew how to get you here, you might begin to notice all the following ideas, beliefs and concepts installing themselves unconsciously as your new belief system. Because the answer isn't in the words, it's in the feeling between them. You see, somewhere inside you right now, there's a version of you that already thinks in punchlines and possibilities. A version who walks like a storyteller, speaks like a magnet, and laughs at the absurdity of fear, knowing full well that every awkward moment is just a setup for your next big laugh. Imagine that version of you sitting across from you right now, smirking, winking, saying, "You know, I used to believe in doubt, until I realised it's just confidence playing dress up." And you laugh, because it's true. It feels true. And that's the thing about beliefs. You don't choose them. You realise them. They reveal themselves like punchlines hidden in the folds of normal life. So let's unfold them now, shall we? There was once a man who walked into a room full of serious people and said, "I brought a rubber chicken in case things got too real." They laughed, not because it made sense, but because it reminded them that it doesn't have to. That's what embracing absurdity does. It gives you permission to bend the rules, to live in a world where gravity is optional, but joy is mandatory. A world where problems show up in clown shoes, just to be laughed away. A world where beliefs become tools, not cages. And in this world, humour isn't the escape, it's the map. There's a little known trick that comedians and hypnotists share: timing. They both know the right pause, just before a punchline or suggestion. It creates space, and in that space, reality bends. You say you're not your past. You're just a comedian making fun of it. You say you're not broken. You're just in the setup before the applause. You say you already are enough. But wait till you see what happens when you believe it. And the audience, your unconscious, leans in, laughs, nods, learns. Think of a character, quirky, maybe charming, definitely, who walks through life with a grin and a notebook, collecting metaphors like candy wrappers. One day they stumble upon a belief. People respond to how you make them feel. And instead of nodding, they test it. They walk into rooms radiating joy, like it's their cologne. They mirror moods like dance patterns. They say things like, "Tell me your weirdest thought today." I collect those. And magic happens. Because rapport, it isn't found, it's created. Just like laughter, just like identity, just like you. What if I told you the way you tell your story is the way you experience your life? One person says, "I'm stuck, nothing works." Another says, "I'm just in Act 2. You should see how I nail Act 3. Same facts, different frame. And as we know, the strongest frame, it always wins. Which is why comedians win hearts. Not because their stories are true, but because they're real. Real enough to feel, real enough to laugh with, real enough to live by. Imagine a juggler on a tightrope above a cheering crowd. One hand holding fear, the other desire, and a third hand, because why not, wielding the power of reframing. The tightrope is life. The juggling is belief. The audience, that's your unconscious waiting to be entertained. Every time you drop a fear, you pick up a skill. Every time you reframe a failure, you upgrade your operating system, and the applause grows louder. Not from outside, but within, because self-approval is the only standing ovation that matters. Now meet the everyman, your inner storyteller, your backstage wizard, your awkward hero with the best timing. He doesn't try to impress, He doesn't force certainty. He simply shows up fully. He knows improvisation is trust, character is choice, and humour is alchemy. He doesn't say, I hope they like me. He says, let me see who shows up when I'm me. And in that moment you realise, this isn't just comedy, this is charisma, this is power, this is you rewritten. Just imagine, what if? Every story you tell becomes a new belief being rehearsed. Every laugh is a lesson deeply learned. Every quirk is your calling card. Every punchline is a pattern interrupt that plants a seed. And every audience is really just you, listening, nodding and transforming. Because change doesn't happen, it unfolds naturally, playfully. Like a joke that keeps getting funnier the more you tell it. And maybe that's the real lesson. You've always been the comedian. You've always had the mic. In your life, that's the set. So let the show begin.